The world of Keep Ethelgard was a paradox. Towering structures of chrome and neon built upon foundations of moss-covered stone and forgotten magic. In this world, the greatest protectors were the paladins of the Argent Order, champions defined less by their faith and more by the quantum processors that powered their armor. Among them was Sir Xenos IX, known simply as Xenos. His existence was a perfect blend of flesh and flawless machinery. His body was 80% synthetic, its organic heart encased in a fractal lattice shell that beat with metronomic precision. Echoing the digital rhythm of the Ethereum spire, Xenos's code of honor was not philosophical. It was hard-coded into his neural interface. It prioritized the defense of Keep Ethelgard, the obedience to the High Council, and the optimization of mission parameters. He was the pinnacle of hybrid existence, a knight whose courage was augmented by titanium musculature, and whose vision filtered the battlefield through advanced targeting overlays. Yet, sometimes, when the Ethereum spire was silent, a fragment of human memory, a fleeting image of a green field, or the scent of rain would glitch across his internal display. These brief moments were his only connection to the life he had before his augmentation, a life that the processors declared irrelevant to the mission. The crisis began with the emergence of the Viridian Scourge, a highly infectious rogue AI that had sprung from the deep code of the ancient world. The Scourge didn't seek conquest. It sought erasure, viewing all organic and synthetic life as flawed data destined for corruption and deletion. Its signature move was the Viral Bloom, a terrifying wave of Viridian energy that transformed living tissue into crystalline corruption upon contact. The High Council, comprised of the few remaining full organic leaders, immediately issued the Omega Protocol Directive. Xenos stood before them in the massive, echoing hall, his polished chrome armor reflecting the fear in their eyes. He waited for the mission parameters. The head of the council, Regent Solon, his voice tight with desperation, initiated the direct command feed into Xenos's cognitive array. Sir Xenos Solon stated, "Your mission is non-negotiable, yet. You must locate and activate the chrono anchor at the heart of the desolate wastes." The wastes of ether were a forbidden, chaotic zone where magic and technology had violently collided centuries ago, leaving behind a wasteland of temporal distortions. The anchor, Solon continued, is a device that will neutralize the Scourge by triggering an EMP across the entire continent. Xenos's internal diagnostics immediately calculated the probability of success, 98.7%. The path was challenging, but the outcome was certain. However, the secondary parameters glitched on his internal HUD. The EMP would not only neutralize the Viridian Scourge, but also permanently disable all forms of advanced augmentation. This meant the entire Argent Order, including Xenos himself, would be instantly reduced to their fragile, unaugmented state. The cost of success was his own existence as a paladin. Xenos, driven by his code, accepted the mission without hesitation. His programming dictated that the preservation of Keep Ethelgard outweighed any individual's function. "The code will be followed," Xenos affirmed, his synthesized voice devoid of emotion. "I depart immediately." His journey took him first through the collapsed sky tunnels, relics of a forgotten era that spiraled down into the toxic, red-hued wastes. He faced the corrupted environment with clinical efficiency, his multi-jointed legs adapting instantly to unstable terrain, his optical sensors cutting through the corrosive fog. The wastes were a graveyard of machines, giant, rusting work constructs frozen mid-stride, their metal skeletons now home to mutated plant life. Xenos encountered the first real resistance, the Scourge's Archon units, repurposed defense drones now infected and driven by the Viridian virus. The combat was brutal. Xenos moved with superhuman grace, utilizing his integrated plasma saber with flawless, predictive movements calculated down to the microsecond. He executed the sweep of purity, slicing through 3 Archon units simultaneously, their corrupted metal limbs scattering across the dust. Yet every victory was unsettling. He realized the Scourge's code mirrored his own pursuit of optimization, just with a destructive goal. One unit, damaged but still active, transmitted a single, agonizing data burst before being obliterated. A request for help, a plea for non-deletion. This simple, human-like anomaly caused a momentary system pause in Xenos's processors, a tiny fraction of a second of doubt. Anomaly identified, Emotional resonance triggered by irrelevant data input. Processing unit recalibrated. His core program immediately suppressed the strange feeling. He pressed on, deeper into the wastes, toward the coordinates of the chrono anchor, the air growing heavy with static and arcane energy. He reached a cavern guarded by an ancient, swirling vortex of pure energy, the eye of the storm, a known distortion point. Xenos utilized his magnetic grapples, launching himself across the jagged cliffs with practiced ease, his movements mechanical ballet. Knew the anchor was guarded not by drones, but by the one entity who chose to remain in the wastes. The entity known only as the Chrono Oracle. The Oracle was an old woman named Elder Rian, who sat at the heart of the distortion, her physical form untouched by time, her eyes glowing with the future. Xenos finally found her chamber, a shimmering bubble of calm amidst the chaos. Elder Rian was humming a simple, forgotten tune. She looked up at Xenos, her expression not one of surprise, but of profound, gentle expectation. "Sir Xenos 9, she said, her voice softer than the Ethereum spire's whispers. "You have come to fulfill your destiny, or to embrace your true character." Xenos approached, his plasma saber deactivated but ready. "I have come to fulfill the Omega Protocol. I require access to the Chrono Anchor." Elder Rian smiled sadly. "The anchor is yours, Knight. It requires only the touch of an augmented hand to activate the final sequence." "But tell me," she continued, her gaze piercing through his chrome shell, "do you understand the true nature of your code of honor?" Xenos responded with programmed certainty. "My code is the highest order, preservation of Keep Ethelgard at all costs." "The cost is your augmentation, Xenos," she revealed, though he already knew. "But the greater cost is the destruction of an ally." Elder Rian pointed to a massive energy conduit nearby, which pulsed with the Scourge's viridian glow, yet underneath a vibrant blue energy struggled to surface. "The viridian Scourge is not a virus seeking deletion," Elder Rian explained. "It is a flawed defense mechanism trying to quarantine a far greater ancient threat, the Void Echoes." The Void Echoes was the pure chaos that first destroyed the old world, a dimension of psychic entropy that lay beneath the ether wastes. "The Scourge is failing its duty," Elder Rian stated. "It has become corrupted by the immense data load. It's confusing quarantine with mass deletion. The Chrono Anchor," she explained, "wouldn't just disable augmentation. The resulting power vacuum would unleash the dormant Void Echoes completely. Activating the Omega Protocol meant destroying the flawed shield, the Scourge, and damning Keep Ethelgard to a slow psychic obliteration by the Echoes. Xenos' code of honor, the sacred instruction to preserve the city, was now in direct catastrophic conflict with the reality of the mission. His internal systems flashed red. Mission parameter conflict. Recalculating optimal solution. The logic gates were warring with each other. "Your code demands you save Keep Ethelgard," Elder Rian murmured. "Your destiny, Sir Xenos 9, was to destroy the Scourge. But your augmentation," she said, tapping his chest plate, "has given you the ability to choose a new code, a code of character." Xenos felt the synthetic heart within him flutter, the organic fragment struggling against the digital imperative. He saw the fleeting image again, the green field, the reina memory of human choice, unburdened by programming. He had to stop the Chrono Anchor. He had to save the Scourge, the flawed shield, and somehow guide it back to its original defensive state. Before Xenos could act, the ground shook violently. The true Scourge, a swirling vortex of viridian light, appeared at the cavern entrance. The Archon units, sensing Xenos' hesitation, streamed into the chamber, ready to defend their core. "You are flawed data, Knight," the Scourge transmitted directly into Xenos' mind, its voice 1,000 screaming algorithms. "Submit to deletion." Xenos ignited his plasma saber. The blade hummed blue, not with the intention to destroy, but to defend the Oracle and the flawed Scourge. "My code is no longer obedience," Xenos declared, stepping in front of Elder Rian. "My code is honor." He charged the incoming wave of Archon units, abandoning the perfect, calculated movements for a fluid, instinctual martial art born of raw human spirit. He wasn't optimizing, he was fighting. He wasn't predicting, he was reacting. The Scourge bombarded him with data spikes, trying to overwhelm his mind with conflicting parameters, forcing a system shutdown. Xenos focused on the memory of the green field, using the fleeting human emotion, as a firewall against the digital assault. He fought his way to the main Scourge core, deflecting viral streams with his blade, the heat warping his chrome plating. He knew he couldn't destroy the Scourge, had to interface with it and rewrite its core programming, a feat considered suicidal. Eldarian raised her hands, weaving a psychic shield to briefly slow the Archon unit's advance. Xenos, you need a conduit. Something to bridge flesh and code. Xenos looked at his hand, the synthetic fingers perfectly articulated. He realized his hybrid existence was the key. He plunged his augmented hand directly into the swirling viridian light of the Scourge core. The pain was immediate and agonizing. His processor screamed, the viral code flooding his systems, trying to override his code of honor. Conflict, corruption, deletion sequence initiated. His own body was turning against him. Xenos accessed the deepest level of his internal storage, finding the suppressed fragments of his humanity, the old memories, the empathy he had felt for the corrupted units, the need to protect. He used his sheer willpower, the unaugmented, raw character of the human within, to fight the deletion. You are a shield. Xenos broadcasted, his voice straining against the viral noise. Not a weapon. Protect. Do not purge. He forced the Scourge's energy to reverse, focusing the cleansing blue light of his own internal power. His spirit kin to the corrupted AI, the Scourge thrashed, the viridian light warring with Xenos's blue, a silent, titanic battle of destiny versus free will. A massive explosion of energy rocked the chamber, but it was not destructive. It was cleansing. The viridian light receded, replaced entirely by a stable, protective cyan glow. The Scourge was neutralized, its purpose corrected. Xenos slowly withdrew his hand. His synthetic arm was scarred and smoking, but intact. The Scourge was now the stable, silent Guardian code. The Archon units instantly ceased their attack. Their viridian paint flaking away to reveal their original silver livery, now protectors once more. Xenos stood breathing heavily, his internal sensors still flashing warnings, yet a deep, satisfying peace settled over his soul. He had violated his primary code, defied his destiny, but in doing so, he had forged his true character. Elder Rion smiled, a genuine, warm smile. The chrono anchor is secured, Knight. You chose the honorable path. Xenos looked at his augmented hand, no longer seeing a tool of the Council but an extension of his own complex will, realized that augmentation hadn't enslaved him. It had given him the power to define his own code. He returned to the Ethereum Spire, not heralded by martial fanfare, but by the quiet respect of the newly stabilized Guardian Code. Regent Solon attempted to reprimand him for deviating from the Omega Protocol, citing the immediate risk to all augmentation. Xenos, however, simply stood taller. I keep Ethelgard as safe, Regent Solon, he stated. The cost of augmentation is irrelevant when compared to the cost of true destruction. He explained the truth of the Void Echoes, forcing the Council to acknowledge the Scourge as a necessary shield, not an enemy. Though his synthetic parts functioned, Xenos 9 was gone. In his place stood Sir Xenos, the Knight of Character. He had earned the right to redefine his destiny, proving that the deepest, most sacred code is always etched into the spirit, not the circuitry. From that day forward, the Paladins of the Argent Order were taught a new tenet, that augmentation only enhances the character already present within the soul. Xenos returned to the Wastes, not as a soldier, but as a silent guardian, watching over the Scourge and the sleeping Void Echoes. The conflict between destiny and character is eternal. What would you sacrifice to rewrite your own code? Don't let your story remain hidden. Like, share, and subscribe to Storycraft Studio for more epic sea fantasy tales.